Baylor women's tennis has released their conference slate in terms of the days and times might change later. It might. I'm just saying. And it goes as follows: March 1st, Cincinnati on the road at 11 a.m. Central Time. They're one of the worst teams preseason picked in the Big 12 at number 13. Then West Virginia, that's March 3rd on the road. We don't know what time on that, and they're preseason picked 12th. So it starts off with two easier ones. Then it gets a little bit difficult with UCF. That's preseason picked 4th. And you get them at home, fortunately, on March 8th at 6 p.m. And that could very well determine who finishes 4th or 3rd in the league in the Big 12 this year. Then it gets a little bit easier with Houston. That's March 10th at 3 p.m. Central Time. And Houston is preseason picked worst in the conference. So the first 3 out of 4 are against one of the worst teams in the conference. Then it's Kansas. You have to play Kansas State on the road, and they were 2-20 last year. We'll see how much they improve, and they are preseason picked 10th in the conference. And UCF was a round of 64 team in the NCAAs last year, by the way. 11-12 was their record, so that's one NCAA tournament team. Then obviously we got to play Oklahoma State, the best team that's preseason picked right now, on the road, March 17th at 1 p.m. Central Time. In Oklahoma State last year, they were not a Sweet 16 team, but they should be better this year. Should be better. Especially with all the transfers that they have. And they beat us last year 4-3. Though technically it was clinched at 4-2. But they played it out. Yeah, they lost to Stanford at Stanford. So they were around a 632 team. Then you got Iowa State. That was an NCAA tournament team last year. Magical year, Elite Eight. But then head coach leaves and a lot of other roster left. And their preseason picked 11th in their conference. I mean, that's the thing. They're in rebuild mode. On March 22nd at 3 p.m., you get them at home. Then you got Kansas. That's March 24th at 1 p.m., and that's at home. And they were an NCAA tournament team last year, and their preseason picked 7th. And that was one of those that was a 4-3 match last year. They could have had them really. Ended at 4-3 potentially in straight sets, but then it got tied in the third and just lost it. And Kansas was a round of 32 team last year. They fell to the eventual runner-up, NC State, but that's understandable. Then you got BYU on the road on March 28th at 2 p.m. Central Time, and BYU was not an NCAA tournament team, but they had a winning record. Then again, the West Coast Conference is not as good as the Big 12. And you got Texas Tech on the road March 30th at 11 a.m. Central Time. And Texas Tech was an NCAA tournament team last year, and before I get too far along, BYU's picked 9th, and Texas Tech's picked 6th. In terms of how far did they go last year in NCAAs, I'm about to check that. I believe they were around a 32, if not around a 64. I definitely know they were not in the Sweet 16. And they had a first-year head coach last year. While I'm waiting on that, then you got TCU on the road that's picked preseason wise number 8 in the conference. And they won the NIT last year practically, but it was a really reduced field, like 8 teams. And they were just selected. So, and it was kind of tight with them last year at TCU. Then the last 2 matches are at home against Oklahoma. That was a Sweet 16 team last year, and they lose some players to either graduation or turn pro, but they added transfers, and we'll have to wait and see how good they really are. And it's April 12th at noon, and their preseason pick third, and then number 2 is Texas, and you get to play them at home April 14th at 1 p.m. And it's at least we got like Oklahoma, Texas, UCF, 3 of the top 4 teams preseason picked wise at home. That is beneficial, though we have to wait and see what happens. As we all know, this is the last year with Texas and Oklahoma in the conference. Then we add Arizona State, Arizona, Colorado, Utah. Really, Arizona State's the best one of the bunch in terms of the women's side. And I'm checking about Texas Tech, and yes, Texas Tech last year beat us 4-3, though it was clinched at 4-0 or 4-1, something like that. It was a lot closer than that 4-3, and not as close as that 4-3 goes. Yeah, Texas Tech was a round of 60-14, and they lost to UCLA. So, anyways, this is just an update, and in total, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 NCAA tournament teams. Though I expect Iowa State to take a step backwards. So, like I said, it's gonna be one team less, I think, and maybe TCU takes on that role of Iowa State and being an NCAA tournament team instead. I don't know how good this TCU team is gonna really be and everything. So, anyways, if you like this content, like and subscribe, and see you guys later on the road to 600 subscribers. Of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 more. Send me money out. Of course, liking the video, comment video, really helps the YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people can watch. And if you're watching and not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Hit the notification bell as well. And once the non-conference slate has been released, I will go over that separately. In addition, before the season starts, I'll give my ceiling and floor for the team, in my opinion, and the roster breakdown. And who I think is going to be 1 through 6 in singles and maybe doubles. I don't know. So once again, UCF, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Texas were NCAA tournament teams, though I expect Iowa State not to make the NCAA tournament this year. I don't. Quite honestly, I don't. But everybody else, I think so. Maybe TCU makes the NCAAs. And hopefully we are an NCAA tournament team like we were last year, too. So, that's all. And more than just an NCAA tournament team, but get at least to the second round. Like we've been for the last couple of years now, since 2017. Maybe this is the year they could take a step to get to a Sweet 16. I don't know. Because then it requires winning a lot of, like the Oklahoma match, and maybe like Texas as well, to get there. Because I don't know about Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State. And also, you need to win the matches that you need to win, especially at the bottom of the barrel. And you need to beat teams, and to beat a UCF as well. That would really help. Besides the non-conference wins. But it's ultimately decided on the computer rankings and all this, which is one of the factors besides RPI and all that.